Why was Jesus' kingdom not of this world? This is the question that we seek to answer today as we continue our verse-by-verse study of the book of John on Walking Through the Bible. If you have a Bible with you, turn to John chapter 18. We're going to be reading from verses 25 to 40. If you don't have a Bible, don't worry. Just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So John chapter 18, beginning at verse 25. Now Simon Peter stood and warmed himself. Therefore they said to him, "You are not one of his disciples, are you?" He denied it and said, "I am not." One of the servants of the high priest, a relative of him whose ear Peter cut off, said, "Did I not see you in the garden with him?" Peter then denied again, and immediately a rooster crowed. Then they led Jesus from Caiaphas to the praetorium, and it was early morning. But they themselves did not go into the praetorium, lest they should be defiled, but that they might eat the Passover. Pilate then went out to them and said, "What accusation do you bring against this man?" They answered and said to him, "If he were not an evildoer, we would not have delivered him up to you." And Pilate said to them, "You take him and judge him according to your law." Therefore the Jews said to him, "It is not lawful for us to put anyone to death," that the saying of Jesus might be fulfilled which he spoke, signifying what death he would die. Then Pilate entered the praetorium again, called Jesus, and said to him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered him, "Are you speaking for yourself about this, or did others tell you this concerning me?" Pilate answered, "Am I a Jew? Your own nation and the chief priests have delivered you to me. What have you done?" Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would fight, so that I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now my kingdom is not from here." Pilate therefore said to him, "Are you a king then?" Jesus answered, "You say rightly that I am a king. For this cause I was born, and for this cause I have come into the world, that I should bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth hears my voice." Pilate said to him, "What is truth?" And when he had said this, he went out again to the Jews and said to them, "I find no fault in him at all. But you have a custom that I should release someone to you at the Passover. Do you therefore want me to release to you the King of the Jews?" Then they all cried again, saying, "Not this man, but Barabbas." Now Barabbas was a robber. Jesus has now been arrested and tried before Annas, who then sent him off to Caiaphas, where the main trial in the middle of the night would take place. John does not give us much record of that trial, so I refer you to our series in Matthew, Mark, and Luke for that. In verse 25, John returns to what is going on with Peter. In our last lesson, Peter has already denied Jesus once. As it is still night, Peter is still by the fire warming himself, and someone else came and asked if he was Jesus' disciple, to which Peter denied Jesus for a second time. And then finally, a relative of Malchus, who was present when Jesus was arrested, came and said that he was sure that Peter was a disciple of Jesus because he saw him in the garden. Peter again denied Jesus for the third time, and then the rooster crowed just as Jesus said. The other gospel accounts said that Peter then went out and wept bitterly. But we'll see Peter's overall repentance following the resurrection, the Lord willing, when we get to chapter 21. Beginning with verse 28, John has skipped the trial before Caiaphas and the pronouncement of the Sanhedrin and moves on to the trial before Pilate, which is a longer account than in the other Gospels. By this time, it was early in the morning. When they came to Pilate's praetorium, the Jews didn't want to enter, lest they defile themselves, thus meaning that they couldn't eat the Passover. My, what things hypocrites choose to care about. Here they were, worried that stepping into a Gentile's building would defile them for the Passover, yet they were unjustly seeking the life of someone who had done no wrong. This shows us that these people weren't really concerned about actually following God, but merely put on a show that they were. The fact that they wanted to eat the Passover, though, shows us that the Passover meal is still ahead, and thus the meal that Jesus ate the night before with the disciples was not the Passover meal. Pilate wanted to know on what charge they brought Jesus before him, to which they responded, "If he wasn't an evildoer, we wouldn't have brought him here." Pilate, wanting nothing to do with this, said to the Jews to judge him according to their law. The Jews replied that they couldn't put someone to death, for at that time, the Romans didn't give the Jewish council the right to execute someone. And it's a good thing, too, because the Jewish form of execution was stoning, whereas the Roman form of execution was crucifixion, the death that Jesus had foretold he would suffer. Thus we see God's hand shaping the events here, too. Pilate then had Jesus brought before him and asked him if he was the king of the Jews, the charge that the Jews brought forth, as is seen in the other gospel accounts. Jesus wants to know if Pilate was asking this on his own accord, or did others tell him this? Why would Jesus speak this way to Pilate? Because the purpose of Pilate's question would change the manner in the way Jesus answered. If Pilate really wanted to know about the kingdom, Jesus would teach him. But if he was simply asking because someone told him, then Jesus would have responded differently. Pilate, in disgust, told Jesus he was not a Jew, so how would he know this of himself? However, his own people have charged him, so what has he done? Jesus said that his kingdom was not of this world, for if it was, his servants would fight, so that he would not be delivered to the Jews. The point here is that the Jews misunderstand what Jesus' kingdom means. They misunderstood it then, and they misunderstand it today, and it is something that many who claim to be Christians have misunderstood in the past and misunderstand today. Jesus did not come the first time, nor is coming the second time, to set up an earthly kingdom. The kingdom he spent 3 years preaching about is a spiritual kingdom, and the throne that Jesus currently rules from is a spiritual throne located in heaven. The church that Jesus established is the kingdom that Jesus rules over as the head, a kingdom that will continue even after the resurrection day, but it will continue in heaven. Having heard that Jesus has a kingdom, Pilate asked if he was a king, and Jesus said that he was, and the reason that he came into this world was to reveal this fact to the world and to bear witness to the truth. Jesus has been saying throughout this book that he is God, and as God has been revealing the Father to the world, whose word, according to John 17:17, is truth. And the truth that the Father wanted revealed was that Jesus was the Messiah, the anointed king promised in the Old Testament. So if you wanted to be of the truth, you needed to hear and obey the voice of Jesus. Upon hearing Jesus' response, Pilate scoffed and said, "What is truth?" claiming that in his opinion, there was no such thing as truth, an attitude that many of the world share today. Still, Pilate did not find any fault in Jesus, for he didn't see Jesus as a threat. Instead, he reminded the Jews of a custom that he had of releasing a prisoner to them at the Passover. So he gave them a choice, Jesus or Barabbas, a man John describes as a robber. The mob picked Barabbas and wanted Jesus crucified. Such a sad state of affairs that the mob would pick a criminal over Jesus. But such was going to be the case if man was to be saved from sin. With that, our time is up for today. The Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of John chapter 19, verses 1 to 16, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time.
Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends, so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.